Welcome to Heresy Thursday. I'm Richard, your host, and once again joining me is Jason.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be back. It's been a while since we've had a catch-up on a few different articles, so looking forward to this one.
Yes, over the past few Heresy Thursdays, we've been taking deep dives into the legions. And we're nearly done with all of our legions. I think we've got a couple more left, but it has been a while since we've looked at the articles from Warhammer Community. And the keen-eyed among us will have noticed that Warhammer Community has actually changed their style a bit, which has thrown me myself off my game in trying to find a bit of what is relevant, because it's not very well classified. But we've pulled up, I think, a few articles that are relevant to Horus Heresy, that being the Age of Darkness, and also the new Legions Imperialis.
Yeah, there's a couple different articles that I think we can touch on. We've got some stuff at the full 30K scale. We also got some stuff at the Legions Imperialis scale. So yeah, let's dive right in. Get cracking.
Well, the one thing that I think everybody was waiting for, hoping for, and is now out, well, has been announced, is the Close Combat Weapon Sprue for Age of Darkness. And it came out in the article on the 3rd of October. Hack and maim with the new Legion Imperialis new Legion Astartes melee weapons here. And they've broken down what we're getting in our box. To give a brief breakdown, we're getting 10 chainswords, 2 chainswords in sheaths, 2 heavy chainswords, a pair of charnel sabers, a pair of thunderhammers, 4 power swords, a pair of lances, 4 power axes, 4 power maws, 4 power fists, and 4 claw sets, as well as a few of the pistols. So we're getting hand flamers, plasma pistols, Volkites, pentas, Phobos bolt pistols, Umbra bolt pistols, Tigris bolt pistols, which are all just different variants of bolt pistols. Hands galore, arms galore, heads, and also a few accessories such as augury scanners, melter bombs, and some underslung bolt guns. I don't really want to talk too much about underslung bolt guns because we've lost maglock apparently in the 30th century.
Yeah, I know that's a pet peeve of yours. Doesn't bother me as much. I like the stylistic approach of having straps on weapons, but maybe that's a topic for another discussion.
So yeah, the breakdown of what's included. I am glad we have plastic versions of these because in the past they were all in resin, or you had to find third parties, or you had to find 1 or 2 bits from a box, so to make a squad was hard. They did release the despoiler set, but that was in resin, and I think now this is kind of replacing all of that, especially the chainswords. And I think you're getting just enough bolt pistols to do that as well.
I got to say, first of all, before we dive into the details, that I love this box. And that's not a fanboy thing. I'll defend my position actually in a minute factually, not by opinion. But I love this box because I think it checks off so many things that we've been missing, whether it's mass axes or multiple pairs of lightning claws or things like power lances. You get a absolute boatload of arms in it. I mean, to me, they knocked this one out of the box, but I'll go in detail in just a minute because I do know that there's some differing opinions online, including from some other YouTube channels, which is totally fine. But I promise I'll have a factual response on why I think they got it right.
Well, I think as we do in First Wargaming, I'm actually sitting a bit more on the other side of the fence from that. I do like the box, and I do appreciate the fact that we have this stuff in plastic, but I'm not underwhelmed, I'd say, with the amount you're getting of each, especially when we're looking at the different legions in the different specialist units we've had in the various legions, and they require more than a couple or a handful of the specialist weapons to form a full squad. So you're having to buy multiple of these, and if you're equipping, in my opinion, if you're equipping a lot of close combat units, yes, it'll work. If you're trying to equip one, it's going to get even more pricey.
Well, let me go into my factual response. Again, this isn't directed at you or directed at anybody, and it's just backing up my position with something other than opinion. So one comment that's been made online is, well, why do I only get 4? I should be able to get 5 of each one of these weapons. Well, the response to that is, if you actually think about it, 4 lines up with a 15-man assault squad. right? Because, for example, you're giving 3 power axes, one for every 5 members. And then should you choose to do so, you're giving the sergeant a power axe. So actually the 4 power axes is perfectly aligned with assault squads. The 4 of each of some of these weapons is also perfectly aligned with a 5-man squad, because if you really think about it, you're not typically a 5-man veteran squad. You're not going to give them 5 axes. You can, but in most cases, you're typically going to give the sergeant equivalent of a squad something like a power fist, a thunder hammer, or lightning claws, because those are the most effective usage on a sergeant who has extra attacks. So in that 5-man vet squad, I can give the 4 power axes and 4 bolt pistols to the mooks, and the sergeant equivalent gets a pair of lightning claws, and that's a perfectly acceptable loadout. So while I understand why some people might want multiples of 5 and 10, let's be perfectly honest, in most cases, squads don't all have 5 of the same weapon, even if you have that option, because you're going to give your heavy hitters a different weapon.
Yep, those are very good points. And I think when you're looking at that point of view and you're looking at it from the core units, such as the assault squads and things like this, then you're right. I think this is maybe where it was targeted, per se. I look at it more at the point of view of trying to use this to create my own versions, or for other people to create their own versions of the Legion-specific units. And there we are seeing a bit more en masse of identical weapons, such as power lances and things like this. But I can see where you're coming from. I just don't know if this is necessarily the be-all and end-all of the melee weapons you need. There is, one box at least. I think it's definitely requiring 2 boxes to get the full use out of this, which is not the end of the world either.
I get that. Like, I totally get that view. And maybe if I put a accountant's or business man's hat on, there might be a legitimate reason why they didn't give you the option to create your own Legion-specific units, because then if you did that, it would take away sales from Forgeworld or future plastic releases that have been hinted. So I totally get that perception. I'm coming more from the side of, we've been screaming for a long time that we can't even outfit our standard squads. And now all of a sudden we have a box that does that, and it does it well, in my opinion. I'll bring up point number 2. There was a lot of hate online about, why is everything left-handed? Why are all the pistol equivalents left-handed? Answer, because the assault squad is all left-handed, right? So if they had, released right hands, then people would have been screaming and saying, oh, well, this kit doesn't fit my assault squad. So you see my point. So it was kind of a no-win situation in that regard, but to me it makes sense why they made everything left-handed. I think that this box honestly makes 3 units in a single box, and I'll explain why. You get 10 chain swords. Okay, that is your despoiler squad. You don't have to give every single guy a shooting pistol. You get basic accessory sprues that have a holstered pistol that you can easily put on their hip, and you can use these pointing hands or aspect hands or melt-a-bombs or whatever to reduce the need of having to give every single guy a chainsword and bolt pistol. So I can very easily make a 10-man despoiler squad out of this box. Squad number 2. Again, I can make a assault squad with 4 power axes and a pair of lightning claws. Or excuse me, a veteran squad, 4 power axes and a pair of lightning claws. That's another squad that gets made out of this. I still have left over the mauls. I still have left over the lances. I still have left over a significant number of the pistols, the Charnable sabers, the thunder hammers, blah, 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 blah. So the net effect is I can probably equip 25 or 30 models with this single box. I totally agree with you that you can't make a Legion equivalent, like, for example, Palanquin blades, if you wanted them all equipped with a bunch of spears or charnable weapons. Like, I totally get that. But as far as your basic squads, I can get a lot of mileage out of this box.
Yeah, when you put it that way, it's a true upgrade sprue, needing the other boxes, for instance, the assault squad box and things. I do think there's enough arms for all of this, and you're right, when you're adding them here and there, just the 4 here, the 2 there, or just the sergeant with Thunderhammer, we have enough there to equip multiple squads. I like the Thunderhammer look. I'm a big fan of it compared to the 40k one. This is a classic 30k Thunderhammer style. So, and it being two-handed is, I think, the first time I've seen it in a two-handed variant. We've had it in the past where it's been a one-handed variant on, I think, the Mark III box. The old Mark III box came with a one-handed variant, and it is a two-handed weapon. So it's nice to see it in two-handed representation there. And I think that'll be definitely interesting on some of the models on how you sculpt it. I've not seen the arms, and I understand the arms are kind of tricky. But I'm wondering, do these need to all be paired together, or is there enough flexibility in this, especially for the two-handed ones, to be able to use either or? Come down to a bit of fiddliness, I think.
I think we don't, because we don't know exactly how the arms align and they don't give us enough detail. My guess is they're probably going to give you specific arms for the lances and thunderhammers, hopefully, and even the drawn sword weapon, right? Now, hopefully, they don't only give you two sets of those arms where you can only use two thunderhammers or two power lances, right? But looking at the way the hands are lined up in the picture on these various weapons, I would probably guess that they're going to have specific arms for each of those. So that still leaves you a ton of sets of arms to make your despoilers, a ton of sets of arms to make your vets. You can even make your command squad out of this if you want them power axe heavy with some lightning claw pairs mixed in, or you want to mix in some of those power lances and different things. Yeah, I mean, I think this is great. And I actually would probably buy two boxes, because I guess point number at this point 4 that I'm going to come to from a factual perspective is, if this box is roughly the same cost as the heavy weapons squad boxes, not squads, the weapons, each one of those is in the 35-ish US range. I'm assuming that this box is probably going to be in a similar range, and I'm going to buy two of this, right? And I'm going to have basically everything I need for an entire Legion force for the most part, unless for some reason I need 20 power axes. But the flip side of that is you might find players that want the mauls. Switch the mauls, trade the mauls for the axes. You might find people that want more of the charnable weapons. You might find people that want more of the power lances. And since, like, at least our club has a good diversity of legions, I have no concerns about being able to trade and flip some of this for what I want. So yeah, I think that's the reason why I'm coming from the viewpoint that I think this was a really, really good box, but I get the opinions to the contrary, but hopefully I've given some facts that kind of back up where I'm coming from.
No, look, they're all very good points, and after listening to them, I can definitely agree with where you're coming from and the angle you're taking on this. I do, like I said, do the devil's advocate there, and I understand where the gripe is, but there's always going to be pros and pros and cons. They're never going to do the most perfect box all the time. I was very happy with their releases for the Assault Squad. The Assault Squad box was a very nice squad, and I don't think really many people had too many complaints in this. We're keeping all the Mark 6 and some new jump packs here. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how people go about equipping their units now. And I'm looking forward to seeing some sergeants with more than just a power fist in the squads there, or some more customized veteran squads. In the past, we've had to rely on 3D printing. I myself rely on a bit of 3D printing for these parts now. But since these are available, I can see people shifting directly to Games Workshop and finally meeting their needs here in plastic. A lot more user-friendly as well, a lot less fiddly. And I can see the quality of the sculpts, if they live up to everything we've seen so far from the Horus Heresy range, they'll be great in person, but time will tell. Release date, not announced though, so we don't really know when we're going to be getting our hands on this.
Yeah, probably just a couple more points from my side. I agree with everything you just said, especially about the release date. It'd be good. If I had to guess, I'm hoping that it's before the year end. I think they would be dumb not to, because of how in demand this particular set is. I'll leave one more positive thing, and then I'll get into my critiques, because I don't think the box is perfect, and I want to be clear. The last positive thing that I'll say is on the heads. I mean, 10 more new head variants is awesome for variety. We do have a lot of options for bear heads across the various sets, the accessory sprue, the Assault Squad. Like, we are getting a lot of these options, but more is always welcome. And it's going to be much cheaper to get them out of this box than to get some of the resin upgrade sets from Forgeworld. So I think that's another positive. I think as far as where I think this box fails, the 2 power swords, not the one that's sheathed that's being drawn, because I think that's awesome for variety. But we honestly don't need the other 2 power swords. We already get them in the standard accessory sprue. We already get them in the command squad upgrade. Like, you're literally flooding us GW with power swords that we don't need. So I would have rather have traded the 2 in this set for another 2 of the lances or even 2 of the charnable sabers, because those are useful. So I think that's a big miss. And I think the other big miss in this set is lightning claws. So many units get access to a lot of lightning claws. And this is a big miss because, again, something like a command squad or a vet squad, even if you're not spamming 10 guys with lightning claws, you probably want to have like 5 of 9 or 5 of 10 vets having the lightning claws. And we don't get enough out of this box. Or the left-handed power fists. So yeah, I mean, again, I think that was a bit of, or right-handed power fist, whichever one is missing off the accessory sprue, I forget. But yeah, I think those were 2 misses as well. We don't need the power swords. We need more of the other weapons and the lightning claws. And I think they could have done that by removing the power swords, in my opinion.
Yeah, speaking of the lightning claws, maybe I'm mistaken, but I've actually not seen this variant of the lightning claw upgrade, because it's just the add-on to the top of a power fist, which is, I think, how they've been going about it for most of the time. I think maybe, is this already in the tactical set? I don't think so, right?
No, the assault squad gives you 1 matching pair, so it's usually intended for the sergeant. What's different about this box is the fists themselves, because the standard fists come with the fingers extended, and it looks like these are in more of a closed position. So we have received this particular left-right lightning claw combination in the assault squad box, but we haven't seen this particular version of the power fist, so that's another bit of variety.
Yeah. I miss I think the older lightning claws where the fingers were claws. But I think that might be because they were designed for the older marks, Mark 3 and Mark 4 maybe. Again, I'm not too sure on my lore there for this. But when I think of lightning claws, I think of the longer fingers as opposed to a power fist with an over the fist attachment there.
Yep. Yeah, it is a bit different. This is the style, though, that we have in 30K. I do like, actually, the style of the new lightning claws. But I've converted up some claw guys using the 40K versions. And to be honest, removing the over-the-top icons and all that off the 40K versions and sanding it smooth and putting it on your dudes, it looks perfectly fine. Like, nobody's ever said, "Oh my God, those are 40K lightning claws." So, I mean, yeah, go with whatever you want. But yeah, I would have liked to have seen more out of this set.
Yeah. Well, that was the only relevant and pertinent release in Warhammer community for Age of Darkness in a while, which itself is kind of disappointing because they're releasing so much for all of the other game systems, including Legion Imperialis, which we'll go into a bit in a moment. But I would have liked to see a bit more, because we had this very underwhelming preview at Nova a while back, which really didn't preview much. So the question really is, what are they working on for Age of Darkness Legion Astartes? Because I know they're working heavily on the Solar Auxilia, the Mechanicum, its Mechanicum variant, which we'll talk about as well in a few moments. But I just don't know what's next for the Legion, the Astartes there. And them not having a concrete plan kind of is a tiny bit annoying, if not concerning.
Yeah, no argument there. It's been pretty much par for the course, right? Like that review at Nova, or preview, whatever you want to call it, at Nova was incredibly underwhelming. But I think, and the theories that seem to be online, not to regurgitate other people's theories, but it does make sense, is the leak of the Mechanicum battle group and Legion Imperialis probably forced their hand a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. We need more stuff for standard 30K, which is why I'm holding out hope that this melee box set is going to be released before the end of the year. But they really haven't hinted anything else. So yeah. I don't know.
I'm waiting for breaches. I'd love to see some breaches. They're not most optimal, but they're just an iconic unit in 30K. And again, we're currently having them only in resin. And I think it's a very simple one to do in plastic. I think there may be, but it might require. Well, actually, I was about to say it might require a different mark of armor, but they've got the Mark 3, which is the perfect armor to put some breacher shields on.
Yep, agree. I'm holding out for breachers. I love them. I love them for the Death Guard, and I just love the way they look for any Legion. So I'm with you. We need our plastic breachers.
moving on, we'll look at what they did release, which is some new information for Legions Imperialis. I'm torn with Legions Imperialis for a couple of reasons. I just don't know if the uptake has been there in the community at large for Legions Imperialis. And it's great to see. I'm more keen on this announcement being a precursor to what we might be getting in plastic for the full Age of Darkness sized models there. And if it is coming out, I am very keen, because I don't have a Mechanicum battle group or any of the Mechanicum box sets, but I think the way they've done the sculpts, I'm a really big fan of here.
Yeah, I mean, this box to me is very cool. Legions Imperialis or not, it's a very cool box. It's exciting if you are an Legions Imperialis player, because it's another faction brought to that game system, which I think is much appreciated. I think the box itself has amazing variety of the various units, and I'm with you. I think that this actually is a great sign for what may be happening in full scale 30K, because there's a lot of units represented here that we don't yet have a plastic version of in 30K. And in one case, a unit that we've never even seen in 30K, which is the Arlatax. The Arlatax Battle Automata, those were basically conversions, because a real resin model has never existed for that. But here you have it in all your miniature millimeter scale of LI glory. And I think that's a great sign that we're going to get those full scale. But there's also several other units in here as well that currently are only available in resin, which is the Myrmidons, not the Domitar, the big guys. Sorry, my brain is not working
The
right
Vorax?
now. No, not the Vorax, the big dudes.
Oh, the Arlatax, is that one? The big
Thanatars. The Thanatars. Yeah, the Thanatars. So we got the version with the plasma mortar, but we don't have the version with the nasty sniper las cannon combo on it.
Mm-hmm.
But we have it in this box. Ursarax, which are the close combat version of Thalax. We've got those in this box, so that hints at plastic. And then the what are the other dudes? The big floating guys. Vulturax, sorry. The Vulturax, we have those in this box, so that is an indication that we're probably going to get them in plastic. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good signs coming out of this box. I'm with you that LI probably hasn't been as popular as we would like, but yeah, there are people playing it, even here in KL. It's just the trickle of our access to it, once again, is limiting us a little bit.
Yeah. Again, for me, the positives on this announcement is the precursor to what we'll get in full scale here. And if it does come in a timely manner, and I've got a feeling they're going to start releasing more of the Mechanicum and the Solar Orc stuff before they do another big release of the Astartes there. Because again, like you said, the leaks and the way it's been going, it all comes down to production for Games Workshop. None of us have any power or any ability to see into the future on how they're doing or what is the holdup at Games Workshop there. We can only hope for the best, and but I wouldn't expect any major announcements before Christmas, because they're releasing all the new stuff for 40K, and I think we just had the latest Kill Team be released as well. So Christmas coming up, I think we'll get versions of the box sets we've already had for Age of Darkness.
I do like this Arc Magi on the Abeyant. So that's another option that has not been available to 30K players, with the exception of the one special character that you can get on an Abeyant in Forgeworld resin. I like, even at this scale, just looking at the picture, I really like the way the design is on this. It's suitably imposing and skittling along on a bunch of tentacles. I think that's pretty cool. So if that ever makes its way to full scale 30K, hopefully sooner rather than later, because it really looks like a cool model, even so small.
Yeah, they are. I want to say cute. Some of them do look a bit chibi-ish at that scale for the way they've done some of the characters there. They are on the short and stumpy side of things. But yes, it's all precursors of what's to hopefully come in Age of Darkness. And another big precursor that I'm hoping comes to us is the announcement of the designs of the Dark Mechanicum and what they're bringing up to life for the Dark Mechanicum in Legions Imperialis, which, God forbid, they hopefully bring sooner rather than later to the Age of Darkness.
Yeah, these are cool looking models. They definitely, I mean, the article itself talks about it, but these link to the 40K Chaos version of this kind of spiderish looking walker. So you can kind of see the design connection there and how that could have been, under the warping influence of Chaos, we got the 40K version, which looks more like a real spider than even these. These are just really cool designs. You've got three different versions: the Tenebrex Archer, the Arax Butcher, the Skintilex Cyclops. Different weapon loadouts, different purposes. The Cyclops is kind of the command or the buffing version. The Butcher is the version that's for assaulting, and then the Archer is for shootiness. Um, and then when you see them next to their Legions Imperialis Mechanicum equivalents, these are big suckers. Like the command version is nearly twice the size of a Thanatar. The smaller versions look to be roughly Thanatar sized in terms of height. I like these. I like the design a lot. I like the fact that we're getting another faction even amongst the Mechanicum. Um, I can't wait for these to come out in full size, but who knows when that is? Because even the article says a long way off, which in GW speak could be years from now, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's just promising to see. I think it's promising that they've got plans. This is real indication that they've got long-term plans for Age of Darkness, and I've always believed they have. It's now a main game system for Games Workshop, so I expect them to support it as they support all the other main game systems. But it's just some. I keep coming back to this, and I really don't want to. It's just about clarity of when. Even if they said it's the end of 2025, that's still more clarity than sometime in the future.
Yeah, this is true. Who knows, right? I mean, none of us have the crystal ball, so we'll see. I don't have access to the latest Legions Imperialis book that actually has the rules for these, but from what I understand, the book itself is a bit underwhelming for the Dark Mechanicum because you're very limited in the choices of the units that you can take. And if you actually look at the picture on this article, it pretty much shows you it's nothing but these walkers, these kind of, you know, bands of little robots that are going to be like swarmish, and then titans. So if
Hmm.
that's the extent of the Dark Mechanicum list, that part is actually very underwhelming because I would much rather see these mixed in with the standard versions of Mechanicum that are available.
Yeah, again, I've not had a chance to read those rules, but I'd be surprised if they didn't allow the thralls there just to be dark thralls or corrupted thralls. There, it would surprise me. But yes, all for future consumption, I'm going to say. I'm sure we'll get articles out for this in the future. We've had some articles out for the design schemes and the paint jobs of Legions Imperialis. All nice to see. I don't think really relevant for us or worthwhile for us to go over in terms of artwork and faction designs there. But this article and the previous Legions Imperialis article, I thought was relevant to what we're doing mainly in Age of Darkness, and definitely, as I said, as I repeat constantly, future possibilities to come for full scale there. So look, that is really all we wanted to have a chat about today on Heresy Thursday. We're taking a break from the Legion reviews, but next week we'll be back with another Legion review for a Heresy Thursday, and we'll be rounding off our section of Legion reviews relatively soon. After that, I think we might delve into slightly different viewpoints of each of the legions, how to go about building them. Let us know if there's any of the legions you want us to dive into more depth, because we have gone, let's say relatively deep into the legions, but we've not dissected them to the far core. And as I've seen in some of the comments, and thank you very much for those who do comment, you've been helping us find some of the combinations, especially of the rule sets for certain of the legions, that we weren't really aware of, that do change how you'd go about building or the value of the individual units there.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we did our Legion interviews or deep dives, as you rightly said, we were more focused on just a breakdown. But we absolutely want to go the direction of maybe not competitive because we're not competitive type players, but go the angle of maybe, hey, there's some different ways that you can build your list or some different combinations or some stuff like that. So absolutely, that will be explored in future media. And yeah, I can't wait to get to those too.
Well, look, thank you guys for tuning in. Once again, if you enjoyed this, please hit the like button. It helps us with the YouTube algorithm there, which is always trying to, well, we're always trying to benefit from. And if you haven't already, if you could hit the subscribe button, you'll get notified of our latest releases, be those the battle reports or the Heresy Thursdays, or sometimes when we do some army showcases, those are released too, and you'll get notified. So thank you very much for tuning in. Jason, any last words?
No last words for me. Just glad to be back again. Keep the likes, the comments, all that coming because we enjoy the interaction, and we will catch you on the next one.